So I think the thing that stops people, whether it's in their relationship or whether it's their business or their career or their body, is the disappointments of the past. And so what really shows up is fear. The fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of rejection, the fear of the unknown. There's so many fears, but they all come down to two fears that everybody has. We're all afraid we're not enough in some context. Not rich enough, smart enough, young enough, old enough, wise enough, funny enough, whatever it is, attractive enough. Especially if we have that fear that we're not enough for someone we really want that love from. And the deepest fear is that if I'm not enough, I won't be loved. And love is the oxygen of life. I know it sounds corny, but if a baby is born and you don't give them physical love, they get what's called failure to thrive syndrome. They actually physically die. Yeah. Love is our evolutionary advantage. It's what makes us survive. And so I look at most people, and most people have so much fear still because of so many disappointments that they're afraid to get their hopes up. Of course, if you don't get your hopes up, if you don't commit to something, if you don't give your all every time because you're afraid of failing, you're not going to follow through.
It's a crazy world, crazy world. Somebody's gotta have to save you. It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. Somebody's gotta have to save you.
So Tony Robbins, I was going to introduce you by saying a man who needs no introduction. And then I'm looking at one of the books here, The Holy Grail of Investing. And of course, Carl Icahn said that a man who needs no introduction, you do need no introduction, but it must be an annoying way to start an interview for someone to say something like that. What do you think?
I don't care. It's good to be with you.
It's good to be with you. We've been trying to do this for about 4 years, I think, and we didn't want to do it virtually. Schedules got crazy. I'm thrilled to be here. And I've organized this interview in a little bit more of a granular way than I normally do, which is just to sit down with someone. But there were so many things that I've wanted to talk to you about for so long. But I thought the first thing is you've been very gracious to welcome, me and my team to your home here. And it seems obvious from the little bit I've seen, and we're kind of in the, what do you call this area? The playroom? The
little basement.
The little basement. Okay, the little basement. But it seems like an embodiment of your life's work, that there's businesses happening here, there's staff, there's fun stuff. Like it's kind of everything that you are in some sense.
Well, I love living on the ocean. And so I used to go to a different place for work. Of course, when things happened during COVID, we had to be home. So fortunately, I'd already built this. And so, this is kind of hidden. We're actually below the ocean. Most people don't even know this exists.
It's crazy. I didn't even know that was allowed.
Around it because they said you can't go down because we have 25,000 square feet and I have separate offices over there, separate from the home. But I wanted to have this kind of playroom where we have golf and basketball and, bowling and everything for the kids and so forth and the grandkids. And so I went down here and the guy said, it's impossible. I said, what do you mean it's impossible? I said, have you ever been to Atlantis? You ever been to Scripps Oceanography? And he goes, well, it'll never get approved. I said, well, we live in a community where they're fans of mine, the mayor is, everybody else. We'll get it approved. Took 3 years, but it created this environment where, you can come and play and do anything you want to do. But yeah, our life is our mission. So we've got Zooms going on all the time and interviews coming through here and business meetings. I have 114 companies now. So it's a wild ride. We're doing over $8 billion in business. I mean, it started with nothing. So we're pretty thrilled about the kind of impact we're having in all these different industries.
And I sense your days are basically scheduled to the nth degree. Like, is there a minute in your day that's a gap where you're like, oh, I guess I'll sit here and go like this?
There didn't used to be, but there is. And it's because, I have a 3.5-year-old. So I have 5 kids and 5 grandkids. My oldest daughter's 50. My youngest daughter's 3.5. And she's my priority. So it's like I've got my plan, but I have a lot of flex that I create in the plan so I can spend time with her. The other day, we're negotiating a deal with Paramount. We're going to have our own Tony Robbins network, our own channel on there. It's not just a show. And it was a really important meeting, but she comes and knocks on the glass of the master suite and she says, Daddy, will you come fly a kite with me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm looking at my time and the answer is yes. So I go out there. So I have like 5 minutes to clean up and run down to the meeting, but it was worth its weight in gold. So yes, my daughter has given me that gift. And I also take that time for my wife and our family. but it is a full life, but I love it that way. I love having so many areas that you can have an impact on that we get to focus on, and so many beautiful people I have the privilege to partner with.
Let's stick with that for just a moment. So you mentioned you have a 50-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old daughter. I mean, what does that do to your sense of parenting or perspective? Or do you find like, oh, I put that phase of life behind me and now it's just come rushing back? I mean,
It's come rushing back, but it's a great time to do that. I married a woman originally, my first marriage, who had been married twice before me, and she had kids from both of them. So if you can imagine, she was 11 years or 12 years my senior. So I was 24 and about to turn 25 years old, and I had a 17-year-old son instantly, an 11-year-old daughter, a 5-year-old, and then one on the way.
gosh,
So I had to grow rapidly as a man, as a father. And I'm really proud of the job I did. I'm proud of all my kids. But, it's different when you're at this stage of life and you have so much more wisdom, so much more experience. My daughter's having the most incredible life. I mean,
Yeah.
she understands that the most important thing in life is we're here to contribute. At 3.5, she has plenty of responsibilities. She's speaking Mandarin and Spanish and English.
Wow.
She's doing geometry at this stage. But she also is just a kid. She just likes to play and go outside and take in the energy. And so I really feel like she's got that balance. And I don't know, I could have given that balance before because I didn't know that balance within myself.
America, listen up. The world's getting more unpredictable by the day. Political insanity, rumors of civil war, an unstable stock market, and now the looming threat of a new global health emergency. Did you know there's a bird flu summit? It's eerily reminiscent of Event 201 that foreshadowed the COVID pandemic. And get this, the first topic on the agenda is mass fatality management planning. If that doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what would. But here's the good news. You don't have to be scared if you're prepared. The wellness company created the medical emergency kit, and every home in America should have at least one of these. They're packed with life-saving meds like ivermectin, amoxicillin, and even a Z-Pack. And it's all backed by experts like Dr. Peter McCullough. Imagine this, no more frantic searches for a doctor, no more emergency waiting rooms, just a few clicks, and this kit is delivered right to your front door. In times like these, having the medical emergency kit is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. Protect your family by preparing now. Head over to twc.health/Rubin and use code Rubin to save $45. Don't wait until it's too late. Act now, take control, and ensure you're protected against whatever comes next. That's twc.health/Rubin. Use code Rubin to save $45. Free shipping. And now back to me.
So let's get into some of the Tony Robbins stuff. Like the real Tony Robbins stuff. Well, you've been a huge influence. You've been an influence on me, but you've been an influence on many, I've told you privately, many of my family members, and helping my brother-in-law get through back pain and a whole bunch of stuff. But what do you think most people are sort of stuck on first? Like, what do you find generally when people come to your shows or when they reach out to you or say hi to you at the mall? What is like the first thing that most people seem to be hung up on before they can start moving forward in life?
I think most people have had dreams and goals in their life, and they've had, obviously, as all of us have, plenty of disappointments because, you want to make God laugh, tell her your plans.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But if the person that persists and keeps going can eventually break through. Like all the studies show that pessimists are much more accurate about their performance than optimists, much more accurate. But optimists are much more successful because they overvalue. They think they did better than they did, so they're willing to try it again.
Right.
They believe it'll happen. And that persistence is what makes things work. So I think the thing that stops people, whether it's in their relationship or whether it's their business or their career or their body, is the disappointments of the past. And so what really shows up is fear. The fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of rejection, the fear of the unknown. There's so many fears, but they all come down to two fears that everybody has. We're all afraid we're not enough in some context. Not rich enough, smart enough, young enough, old enough, wise enough, funny enough, whatever it is, attractive enough. Especially if we have that fear that we're not enough for someone we really want that love from. And the deepest fear is that if I'm not enough, I won't be loved. And love is the oxygen of life. I know it sounds corny, but if a baby is born and you don't give them physical love, they get what's called failure to thrive syndrome. They actually physically die.
Yeah.
Love is our evolutionary advantage. It's what makes us survive. And so I look at most people, and most people have so much fear still because of so many disappointments that they're afraid to get their hopes up. Of course, if you don't get your hopes up, if you don't commit to something, if you don't give your all every time because you're afraid of failing, you're not going to follow through. So I think it's fear that stops people in any area, but also what happens is you start to form a limiting identity. And this is the thing I hope that your listeners or viewers will really consider. I believe the strongest force in anybody's personality, in the human personality, is the need to stay consistent with how you've defined yourself. We all have an identity for ourselves. So you'll hear people say something like, is there a difference between somebody who feels depressed and somebody who is clinically depressed? Well, yes, once you have the title clinically depressed, you can go to one of those people, and do you think clinically depressed people have happy moments? You think they do?
I'm going to guess not really. They
Yeah,
can't
they
get
have happy
there.
moments, but if you catch them when they go, I'm not really happy, it just looks like I'm happy.
Yeah.
Because our need to meet that definition, if you don't know who you are, you can't make a decision. It's like when people talk about somebody turning in their 40s and, having this, midlife crisis. What there really is, it's an identity crisis. Is this really who I want to be? Is this really who I am? So if I said to you, do you ever smoke cigarettes?
Never. I've
Yeah.
smoked maybe cumulative one cigarette in my entire life.
Lucky
Every
you. That's
puff
good, man.
that I ever took. Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to have a similar pattern as you. But I'll talk to some people that smoke cigarettes and they'll say, no, I've smoked for 10 years and I stopped and I'll never smoke again. If I come to them and say, would you like a cigarette? They don't go, what brand is it?
Right.
What do they say? They go, I'm not a smoker. I'm not one of those.
Mm-hmm.
The way we define ourselves, what we are and what we're not, controls every thought, feeling, emotion, and behavior of our life. So it works at all levels. If I set a thermostat in this room at 68 degrees, and that represents your comfort zone, your identity. Your comfort zone is not what you want, it's what you're used to, right? So it could be 68 degrees is what you're used to in terms of intimacy, or 68 degrees is how much financial well-being or freedom you're used to, or security you're used to. It might not be a lot, it might be a little. It's not your goal, it's what you're used to. Well, once that's your comfort zone, once that's your identity, if the temperature in this room drops from 68 to 65 to 62 to 60 at some point, the heaters kick on because the computer says, whoa, you're a 68 degreeers. You're not a 60 degreeer. This is no good. And you feel pressure. The heaters kick on and drive you back up to where you're supposed to be. And most people listening probably have had times where it got so bad you finally said, not another day, another moment. I'm changing this now, this relationship, this thing on my body, whatever. But what most people don't realize that happens on the other side as well. If you're a 68 degreeer and you start doing better than you expect, you get momentum, you start to crush it, you start to go 80 degrees, 90, 98 degrees. Suddenly the computer inside goes, what the hell are you doing? You're not a 98 degreeer, you're a 68 degreeer.
Right.
And then the first thing happens, the heaters stop, you lose your drive. And then if that's not enough, the air conditioners kick on to help you sabotage to get right back down to where you think you deserve to be.
If you're looking for more insightful conversations about optimizing your life, check out our lifestyle playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a wide variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.